Okay, please go ahead.
To Ramesh of CNA, especially for you. In your introductory remarks, you spoke about the young slate that PAP will be introducing in this election. Perhaps you can share with us the rationale behind, choosing this young slate, the age group, why this particular approach in this election.
Well, as I said, the majority of our candidates are in the early 40s and below, and half of them are actually in their 20s and 30s. At each general election, we try and make sure that we bring in a slate of younger candidates in order to renew the leadership, to make sure that we continue to have ideas and energy, and that we also continue to keep in touch with the younger voters. Of course, among our incumbent MPs, we will have people who are older and more experienced. And so that makes up also for the older, the representing the older people in Singapore as well. So for each general election, we try to have a combination, as I said, of experience as well as newer candidates who are more youthful and with more energy. And the other key reason why we bring in young candidates is because we need to make sure that we renew Parliament and we renew the leadership of the country. And for Parliament, we want to have a fresh slate of candidates, and for the government, we want to make sure that we put in place the core team of the fourth generation.
I'm Shui from the Straits Times. You said that the slate will be representative of Singapore. Today you have 3 men, 2 of them are from the Union. Looking ahead, can we expect sufficient diversity in terms of more women, more Malay candidates, and more from the private sector?
Well, Shui, my answer to you is that you must think long term. This is the first introduction. So you cannot conclude from this introduction what the rest of the slate will be. So you must think slightly longer term than today's session.
Zakir from the Straits Times. DPM, you mentioned that this slate of candidates represents the Singapore story. The 2 questions that come up is this the first time the party is fielding the sons of former leftist leaders? And for Mr. Ong and Dr. Cherry, how do you reconcile the fact that your parents were on the wrong side of the Singapore story? How do you reconcile that with your joining the PAP?
Well, perhaps I'll let them answer the question. But whether or not the party has, the party has had a history which reflects the history of Singapore also. So when you say, have we fielded candidates who were children of leftists? Well, the party had its roots there, and you can study the history of the party. And there were many leftists in the party too. So perhaps I ask Yi Kang and Janil, which one of you wants to go first? You want to go first?
Okay. Well, first of all, my father supports me in this, so the reconciliation is there. A lot of time has passed since he was a member of the party. A lot of things have changed. But I think if you look closely, there are 2 things which have not changed. One are the core values that the party has, what it stands for, why it's here, where it's going. And the other are the principles that my father holds dear to his heart. Those 2 sets of things haven't changed despite a long period of time. But if you study both of those, if you get to know both the party and my dad, you'll find out that actually mostly they are shared values, shared principles. There's a lot more in common than there are differences. So he supports me in this. I have to say that I did not know this at the time when I was about to pay my membership fee, so I had the same anxiety that perhaps drove your question. My father never spoke at length about the details of those years. He was always forward-looking, always progressive. But between my reading, my discussing with various people, I knew enough to be anxious about what he thought. So I felt that I should discuss it with him before I joined the party. So I spoke to him, and I said, started explaining about the Meet the People sessions and the tea that I was drinking. And I had a whole plan of how I was going to explain all this and how this was important. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought on the basis of the values that he had taught me, I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't sure what he thought. So anyway, I started explaining this, and then he cut me short. He just jumped in and interrupted me, didn't let me finish. He said, "I'm very proud of you." He said, "It's not about which side you're on. It's not about picking sides. It's about becoming engaged and involved in the community. It's about being prepared to stand up and step forward and be part of the struggle to make this a better world." So he said, "As long as you're doing it for those reasons, whatever you're doing, I'm going to be proud of you." So this was quite a profound moment for me. I mean, men of his generation don't express emotion easily to many people, let alone their sons. So I was a bit floored and flabbergasted. So I said, so I was trying to lighten the mood. I said, "Hey, Dad, come on, relax. I'm just writing letters. Don't overanalyze the situation. I'm just writing letters." And he sort of paused and looked off, and he said, "Oh, well, maybe it's a start." But it turns out that he's right. So I've always been proud of my dad. I'm glad he's proud of me. And, I think there's no issue about reconciliation.
My father, his name is Ong Lien Teng, elected 1963 under Barisan Socialist. He's a comrade of Janil's father, and today we are comrades. But my father passed away 2 years ago, but I had many conversations with him before that, and it occurred very strongly to me. He's a patriot. He believed in the cause of Singapore. He believed in serving people. And for him particularly, his conviction is he wants to improve village lives for the villagers, for the people that are in the kampong. And later on, when he saw that I was working in the WDA, and I was working in NTUC, helping workers, I think he saw a lot of himself in me. And so when I spoke to him about entering politics, he supported me fully. As I mentioned, he passed away 2 years ago, so that conversation was quite some time ago. I'm very glad PAP starts its tea sessions very early. So I could reconcile that with him.
But to put this in perspective, basically the PAP is a broad-based party, and we encompass a wide range of views. So there are some people who may be a little more left, there are some people who may be a little more right, but it's a broad range of views. And we are quite willing to consider any ideas, any suggestions, any proposals, provided they work, they stand the test of whether or not they will bring better lives to Singaporeans. So from that point of view, we are not ideological. We are logical. We are focused on what will benefit the people and how that benefit can be extended also into the long term. So it's a broad-based party and able to encompass a wide range of views.
Following Zucker's question, the trend that we see here is the candidates have seniors in the family that are former politicians. Is this a deliberate attempt for the party to introduce them all together today? And why is that so? And are we seeing more candidates of similar backgrounds?
Well, first of all, my general answer is the same as the one I gave to Sheng. Don't draw too many conclusions from just today's session. Think slightly longer term than today's session. Secondly, I think it illustrates that the party indeed is able and willing to encompass a wide range of views and people from whatever backgrounds there may be. And I can quite tell you honestly, we did not plan to have both of them together today because of their backgrounds or their father's backgrounds. It's completely coincidental, and that was not the reason why we put them together today.